at this. Welcome. Can we just look at you and absorb the light for a bit? Oyama, let me start with you, if I may. Why are you successful?
Why are you successful, Jeremy?
I'm not successful. I do not believe I'm successful.
Really?
But it's
I believe you're successful. I watch
it's a
your show
debate
every
we can
night.
have. But you're sitting here because you are deemed successful. What has been the secret of your journey?
I think it's hard work, my friend. Hard work, perseverance, pushing hard, in spite of all the obstacles that comes along the way. I've been through everything you can put in front of an entrepreneur, but I'm still right here. I'm still surviving. I'm a boy from a small town of Eastern Cape. It's a province that is always the last in when they're always counting their exams. But I'm from the province. And I'm right here in Joburg with Mawisa, one of my role models. You know, I push hard, I work hard, and I'm sitting right in front of you. I watch your show every night. I'm inspired by you, men like you, and many other men and women who are sitting right here today. And here I am sitting on stage.
Well, I'm flattered.
So
that
why
makes
am I
two
successful?
audience members. I've got you and my mum, which is really nice.
Thank you.
What are the obstacles you've overcome?
Oof. Jeremy, where do I start?
Start with one.
You know, I'm actually, like I said, I'm from the Eastern Cape in East London.
Yes.
A small town.
And we won't hold that against you. Is there anybody from East London here?
Any East London?
Not a
I
single?
see one there. I see one there.
So they're even too shy to speak. They just
There's
put up
one
their hand,
there.
hoping no one will notice them.
You know what? I remember finished varsity in 2005 and thinking to myself, where am I going? What am I going to do with this life? We all are running our own human race. He is, she is, everyone is running their own. And for me, I decided right then and then that I'm going to pursue my own dreams. And my dreams were not in East London. It was to come to a big city of Joburg. And so I decided on a very cloudy day of 2005 that I'm going to come to Joburg. And I've been here for the last 12 years, and I've been through so much, so much. I've been homeless, sleeping under a bridge. I've slept under bridges. I've slept in most of y'all's bedrooms and couches and whatnot. But today, here I'm sitting in front of people. I'm talking in front of people I admire, like Jerry Mack and some of you.
All right.
So I believe that I have succeeded in the dreams that I've always wanted.
Oyama, thank you, and I
Thank you.
am flattered by your answer.
Thank you.
Claire, I think it's fair to say that everyone sitting here is successful. You've all achieved a degree of success to a greater or lesser extent. Here's the question for you. What are you most afraid of?
Is it for me?
No, you've said enough.
What am I most afraid of? Is not realizing. I think people always talk about your potential, and you think, will I fulfill or, live up to my greatest potential? Am I self-sabotaging in any way? What am I doing to stand in my own way? Do I believe that I can actually achieve what I want? Do I believe I deserve it? So those are the things that I really try to focus on, because doing the work is not difficult, because nobody's really there when you're doing like the really hard work. It's just, I got over the fear of people approving of me and validating me and affirming me, and I've made my mother proud, and I hope my son is proud, so I've got that in check. But I think it's about, my fear is not achieving or not fulfilling or living up to my greatest potential.
And often that is manifests itself in a deep, dark personal moment.
Yes.
So how do you, at that point, energize and motivate yourself?
I think I first look back and I realize the things that I've gone through and I've been able to achieve, because that is always affirming in its own way, that we've all survived something to be here today. It's not always easy. Like they say, like overnight success takes 10 years. So that kind of reminds me that I've got stuff within me to take me through. And if it's really, really dark, I've been blessed to surround myself with people who believe in me, even when I don't believe in myself. Because you do need a cheerleader once in a while. Yes, you can believe in your own ability, but when somebody else says, yes, you can, that is transformational, that is powerful in its own way. So dark moments do happen, and every time we find a different way to get out of them.
Loyiso, what happens when the inspiration doesn't come?
What happens when the inspiration doesn't come? I think that's when the schooling kicks in. For anyone who's, if there are any authors here, you will know that you'll get inspired for the first few pages, and then you've got to finish the book. So right there, and then experience then plays a role, and if you've got education, that plays a role as well. As a songwriter, and because I've studied songwriting and I've studied music, I'm not always inspired. So you won't see me as being this weird guy walking around singing the whole time. Because there comes a moment when I'll be inspired to write a verse, but then I'll need to obviously finish the song because there are deadlines. If you're a writer and you do that professionally, there's going to be a deadline when you've got to take the manuscript through to the editor. So in the same way that, if you're a musician and you're writing a song, there's a certain time you need to go to the studio, record that thing, and we need to get it out for December. So you can't always just be waiting on inspiration. That's where education kicks in. I always believe that not everybody necessarily needs to be educated in what they do, because because obviously, clearly you have your capstone and your vest who never finish matric, but yet they're still successful. But education helps you when you've hit a wall.
How do you deal with a situation where you've delivered on deadline, but you know it's not good enough?
That should never happen.
But it does.
But it does happen. I always believe that if you're able to convince the people who are taking the deliverables in, is just to have like another day. But otherwise, you know what? You've got to make a call as well. If you're busy mixing a song, and I'm just talking about this because it really just sort of applies to all sectors. Like if you're a creative, you've got to make a call. You can't keep on being there editing that thing over and over again. Look at it, make a call and say, you know what, it's done. And let me just trust that what I've done is fine, even with its mistakes. Because also, you don't want to bring out a product that's going to be so clinical. It needs to have heart and soul in it. So once it's gone, just believe that it's going to be okay.
Rough edges are fine sometimes.
Yeah, it's fine. Obviously you're going to try and be as perfect as you want to be, but you need to make a call because things have got to move and you've got a life beyond what you do.
Thando, how would you describe your personal brand?
Sure. I think I'm myself in that in everything that I do, I try to not look at what everybody else is doing, so not allow it to kind of influence my output. So I think honesty, people can see when you're lying. People can see when you're not being yourself or when you're pretending. So I think authenticity is very important for me.
Do you have to work on being yourself?
I think some people feel like they do. I mean, I know there were times when I thought being myself wasn't enough, where I thought I wasn't celebrity enough, where I thought there's a specific way so-called celebrated people are supposed to act, and I felt like perhaps I'm being too much of myself, and the world won't see me as a celebrated person if I don't kind of, become that norm of what a celebrity is. But I think for me, it's just being comfortable in your own shoes and being happy with who you are, and I guess for some people it takes time.
What responsibilities does celebrity carry?
Sure, a lot. I mean, things we take for granted, like walking in a mall. I don't do that anymore. I don't walk in a mall, I shop online. But it comes with the responsibility.
That's terrible.
That's what, sorry?
That's terrible that you.
It is horrible, it is. I think it's horrible that I can't walk into a mall. But I mean, and the reason I don't
What happens
do
when
it,
you walk in a mall?
Well, people ask for pictures, and that's the responsibility. So I have to, if I'm in a terrible mood, I can't come forth and tell you my problems and how I can't take the picture with you. So I rather avoid the situation and not put myself in a situation where I'll be, I don't know, painted in a bad light, or you'll see me not as the person you perhaps see on TV or hear on the radio. So I don't know, I guess it's being expected to be perfect all the time and to be happy all the time. I mean, that's just an example, but it's kind of, people see you in that light. And to meet someone that you love in person and they're not what you expected. I know with my favorite celebrities, when I met them and I was like gobsmacked because they weren't what I thought they'd be, I was sad.
Who was that?
No, let's not name and shame.
Ndumiso,
Yeah.
I think you, of everybody here, must have the most difficult job.
Yes.
I think the pressure of standing up and being funny on demand, and there is an expectation in the audience, must be absolutely awful. I think it must be very onerous. So my question to you, then it is your turn, everybody. My question to you is, how do you deal with pressure?
How do I deal with pressure? You see, what I do is, the best part about what I do is I get to face my fears every time I stand on stage, because people don't realize that most comedians are afraid of people, are afraid to stand in front of people and perform. So how do I deal with pressure? That 2 minutes before you get on stage, that's the best time ever. Like, everything just shuts off. You go through your material in your head. You are in, you literally, your hands are sweating, there's butterflies and stuff, and then you hear your name being called out. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up on stage, Ndumiso, Lindi. The minute you step on stage, it's gone. It's a point of no return.
What are you relying on? Malcolm Gladwell, for instance, talks about having done the 10,000 hours. I'm assuming we've all, to a greater or lesser extent, done the 10,000 hours in our respective careers. Is that what you rely on, or is it perhaps the energy from the audience which is also driving that?
It's a combination
Damn, that's a good question.
It is. It's a combination of two things. It's preparation, and then audience-wise, it's energy. So it's like we are playing a game of tennis. When I hit you, you hit me back, and then I gain more confidence. I hit you again, you hit me back with laughter, I gain more confidence. And you end up even rolling off the material that you prepared, the set that you prepared. Now you're freestyling because of the vibe that has been created.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Just a light gin and tonic to get me through the... It's not a gin and tonic. Or is it? Folks, it's over to you now. I think these are the most astonishing people, and I revere them, and I follow their careers with a great deal of interest. I would love to keep talking to them, but it's not about me, it's about you. So up with the lights, and I want to start on that side, because you lot over there, that lady who's waving frantically, you have been ignored today, the left wing. Okay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tabang Petlabanda, and first and foremost, I'd like to say it's been a great experience being a part of this convention. Well done to the team at large for putting it together. It's been absolutely amazing. It's actually not even a question. I just want to say thank you for being leaders and inspiring. Thank you for standing and withstanding everything that comes through. And I'm going to point this one to you, Thando, because I've known you since we were in high school. And to see you flourish and stand there and have poise and be the lady that you are, even through the trials and tribulations, you have shone from UJFM, running to class and everything. Girl, well done. So proud. Keep it going.
Are you friends?
We went to high school
Okay.
together.
Or is she a plant?
She was.
Is she a plant in the audience? Okay.
Definitely.
I want to
her
ask,
everywhere.
any one of you can pick this up, because you did raise a point. You used that word inspirational. Do you, any of you, feel the responsibility to inspire? Because you get to a certain level in your professional life where people look at you for inspiration. Oyama, what about you?
Jeremy, I'm not Jacob Zuma.
Okay. Claire, what he's thinking, what about you?
Some Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do because my career has been based on people recepting me and
Yeah.
me endearing myself to them. So my career is based a lot on an audience accepting the work that I put out and them approving and enjoying it. So,
So
if they
you-
continue to be inspired, then I continue. So it's kind of yes, it ebbs and flows, but I don't always feel the pressure.
I don't think it's something I actively think about. So I don't wake up in the morning and think I hope I inspire someone. But having interacted with a lot of young women who I didn't even realize that people didn't know their purpose. So for me, that was something new. I always imagined that people knew exactly what it is that they wanted to do, what it is that they loved, and it was just a case of getting there. But I think interacting with other young women, I've realized that it's important to kind of share your journey. That way, even if it's not you actively saying, I'm trying to inspire, you do in that way just by sharing how you got to where you are.
All right, good answer. Okay, wherever the mic is, the mic people, you're in charge. We are simply here to receive. Off you go.
My name is Bonolo Siaramel. My question is, since she said that she's unable to go to the mall to just shop or whatever because of people. So that social aspect that every human needs in their lives, how do you then supplement it to become a holistic human being within society?
I'm
She
in
doesn't
no way,
shun people completely. She's not a hermit. She doesn't live in a bubble.
I'm in no way Beyonce, so I mean, I don't see that much flames. I walked in here by myself and I'm all right. But I surround myself with people that have known me all my life in that, I mean, my friends are friends from high school, from varsity. My boyfriend is not in the business. My mom doesn't care that I'm in the business. So I think it's not that hard. I don't have to walk around with a bodyguard. So it's not at all that extreme. No.
But having a bodyguard's cool.
Yeah, that would be
It's pretty
nice.
cool. Yeah.
Hi.
Where,
Hi, my name is Kilebogile Thebe.
I like your
Hello?
spirit. Yes, we can hear you. Where are
Jeremy?
you?
Right here, right
I'm
Where
over
are
here.
you? So you were waving and you were over there. There we go. Go.
Hi, my question is to Claire. I think as young people, it's very difficult for us to get out of our shell and open businesses and become entrepreneurs because we're scared of failing. We're scared of closing 3 years down the line. So my question is to you that seeing how much you've transformed over the years from being in the screen and later on transforming to getting behind, how would you say you can actually create sustainability and longevity in any industry actually?
People ask me that, and I think looking back, what I realized what I did was that I was focusing on what I was doing at that time and trying to be really good at that thing and perfecting that. I was never really thinking of what my next move could possibly be. Today, I did the best I could with what I had, with the resources I had, with where I was. And I kept on doing that consistently. And people will recognize that, and they will recognize and reward that. You must also do it for fulfillment, right? So I think it's about making sure that you understand the process of it all. People want to be incredibly successful, but they forget that people who are successful, you haven't seen all my failures. And I have failed a lot, okay? You haven't seen me at my low points, and I've had a lot of them. And so you've just seen the highlights. And so you need to be willing to push through, do the tough work, earn your stripes. Understand when you are coming in at the bottom of the food chain and accept that. Work your way up, earn those stripes, do the education, take an extra course, go to the free speech by your mentor, get online, get as much information as you can, and be the best whatever it is you are at that moment, at that time. Because that's how it propels you and like you gain momentum to get into the next phase or whatever that is. I would never have been able to orchestrate the opportunities that have come into my life. It all makes sense looking back now, but going forward, I would never have been able to know what I would be doing in the next 2, 3, 5, 7 years' time. But it's because somebody saw that, wow, she's good at that. Maybe she can also do this. Let's give her more responsibility. Let's elevate her into this space. And that's how I got here to be here today.
Loyiso, I'd like your views on sustainability of career and also about goal setting. It seems to me clear that you might be a bit of a goal setter.
Yes,
Yeah.
I also understand that the goals also keep on shifting.
Changing.
Yeah.
Is that the same for you?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you were speaking, about success earlier on. For me, what I had to discover first of all was that I am great, and that I was born great, and that life is going to be a discovery of that greatness. I think if you're thinking that you are going towards victory, you never necessarily have to win anything to be victorious. I think tell yourself I'm victorious, then whatever else you do from there will be from that victory, if I'm making any sense. So I, just like Claire, I've always been in a place of discovery, of trying to check what is it that I'm meant for next. In other words, I have it, I've just got to go towards it. So whenever I've gone into different parts of the business, or even in genres, I've always made sure that I take myself through a stage of preparation. Like for instance, before I even went into music, I studied for a good 10 years, studying music. When I decided that I'm going to go into R&B from TKZ, I went to the UK for 2 years because it was the closest place where at least R&B was alive in the early 2000s. When I decided that, I wanted to obviously venture into gospel, I took my 30-year-old self and I went to Bible school for a year. It wasn't a hard thing because, at that time it was a hard thing because at that time I had 5 songs, for instance, in the top 10. And now I feel like there are opportunities opening up for me to get into businesses. I just came back from a board meeting because I sit on the board of SAMRO, South African Music Rights Organization. And I feel that, God is opening up opportunities for me in business. And so last year, I took myself to, and actually one of the sponsors today, I took myself to Henley, and I did my honors. And actually today, I just received a letter that I've been accepted to do my MBA.
Oh, congratulations.
Starting in June. So, and thank you. And and the thing is, I don't do these things because I want to have accolades. I do these things because I know that for the next phase of my life, I'm going to be prepared for it. And even Thando will let you know that once you become a presenter, you've got no time to learn to be a presenter. So, so in the same way, I know that once it hits, I'm going to have no time to prepare for what I'm in already.
Can I ask a quick follow-up, just with your permission? I want to take you right back to your initial answer. And you said, you're great.
Yeah.
It often takes a huge amount of courage for a person to acknowledge to themselves that they are good. How difficult was that for you?
It took me a few years to actually really sort of recognize that I will never be great unless I tell myself that I'm great. Because you don't want to live up to greatness. You want to live from greatness. Do you know what I mean? So, and it's very easy to look around and say, so many people, even the guys sitting up here are so successful and that they are so much better than what you are. I fully believe that even if you were a mistake, you are here for a purpose. There's a purpose. So it's about you finding that purpose because it is there.
Ndumiso, do you have an answer to that? Have you had to, or do you tell yourself that you're good?
You have to tell, I don't want to repeat what Loyiso just said. You have to tell yourself that you're great, Also, in my field, your work speaks for you. The more they call you to come perform, and then you see yourself moving from opening to support to, these are the stages of comedy as you grow. So you're an opening act, you're a support act, you close in the first half, and then you're a headliner. The next thing you realize, you headlining. You can't be headlining, but you keep telling yourself, maybe I'm just in jail. You know what I mean? You need to tell yourself, I'm great. I'm about to headline, and I'm gonna give them a good show.
I love your shoes, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. My name is...
You've asked 1,000 questions today. Over there. I'll come to you.
Sorry.
Because I like you.
Sorry, Jeremy, it's me, eh?
Where is the mic? Over
Yes,
there.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'd like to pose this question.
Into the mic.
Okay.
We need good mic technique.
Thank you.
There we go.
This question is specifically based on education. Loyiso, you spoke about going to school to enhance, or rather gain more knowledge on the career you're on, specifically your R&B, gospel, and all that. My question is, don't you think it would be better for the youth to rather go into a system of schooling where your passion is encouraged rather than doing what everyone is doing now in their foundation and secondary school up into tertiary level? I feel like having had an opportunity to apply your 10,000 hours into the passion that you see yourself into, it would make it easier, or rather, not easy, but people, as someone who is going into that career, had I had prior education into that thing specifically, I feel like success would be easily achievable, if I can put it like that.
Can I answer?
Certainly.
Okay. Look, it's a good question, and I think that question really begs an answer. So here's my answer, right? There are certain skills that you're learning at school that that you're going to need later on. For instance, school doesn't necessarily teach you about maths and science and whatever other subjects are there, but it teaches you to think. There are certain muscles in your head that have to be trained for what you're going to be going into. So for instance, let's say one never went to school, right? But, let me say one never had the formal education that is there right now. But they went for singing lessons, they went for dance lessons. This is called the music business. And it's 80% business and it's 20% music. You may be successful in what you do, and you may be a great singer, but if you cannot read a contract, you won't be able to carry that. So it's like the formalities of an education system. It trains our character, and I'm telling you right now, and I know it's cliche, but the thing is that talent will get you there, but character will keep you.
It's a great answer. Oyama, how important has the education side been to you, and how important does it remain?
Education for me, Jeremy, I've got a diploma in graphic design. There's a gentleman who was actually speaking before I got here, the under 30s, and he said, as an entrepreneur, education is very important, but it's not all do or die if you want to be an entrepreneur. For me, like I said, I've been here in the City of Gold for the last 12 years, and I use a bit of the education side of things, but I also use the streets to get along the way, to get what I want in terms of my business.
So also it's an
I don't know if that makes sense.
It's an interesting answer. Thando, yeah.
If I could add to that, I studied at UJ, BCom accounting, and while studying is when I actually got into radio. So had I not, had the opportunity to be at UJ, and as much as you can be at UJ FM without being at UJ, I got myself in an environment where the people I work with today, I met in varsity. So it's also a networking field. So, you might take it for granted at the time, but the people you're in school with are most likely to be the people you'll work with in future. Yeah.
I think you're the fourth person that's raised that today. You cannot underestimate that, folks. It's about empowering and utilizing the circle.
Yeah. Hey, can I say something? And the guys I actually went to school with, who've also got the degrees and hundreds of degrees, they actually work for me now.
That's such a good story.
How funny is that?
Losers, that's such a nice
Can I just say something that's be off topic? Every time Oyama
You're a comedian, you can go off topic.
No, every time I'm just listening to Oyama since he started talking. I feel like he's talking about my life. You know what I mean? Like from Eastern Cape, just wanted to be out of Eastern Cape. Studied graphic design. I also studied graphic design. A graphic designer, all those things. I don't have girls working for me though, but it's fine.
I do.
You know what I mean? But just to be on the topic, with comedy, you cannot be taught to be funny. Yeah. You can't go to school and say, I'm going to learn to be funny. It has to come from you. Yeah. But what I took from studying graphic design and worked in advertising, how to conceptualize, how to think of an idea and deliver it nicely, actually on stage. And All
right, folks, I need to ask you first of all, we are 20 minutes over schedule, okay? how's your time for another 10 minutes?
We're willing to go for another 25 minutes.
Okay. All right. I know you've generously given of your time. Another 10 minutes, you're good? Folks, we're good for another 10 minutes, all right? I'm coming to you. Settle yourself. Quieten down. The mic is yours.
Yes, thank you. Jeremy? My name is Thanksom Tau, and...
Jeez, you jumped in there so quickly. But all right, go, and then it's definitely you.
Yes.
Okay.
So, my question was partially answered by Loyiso. And what I wanted to know was, how do you guys avoid being redundant? You know, the industry that you are in, it's always more competitive. They always look for new talents, especially for you, Thando, to be a presenter. You know, how are you guys making sure that you are sustainable in the industry?
How can you ask a question like that? Have you any idea, and I speak as one of you, how insecure we are working in the media? You are as good as your last news bulletin or your last show. And you ask us, you use the word redundant. Should we just go? Let's just go.
I think we should leave
Maybe we
now.
should just go.
Oh, he could go.
Or you could, security,
Escort him out.
but it's a good question nonetheless.
Yeah.
Who's going to pick it up?
I'll go first. I think it's what I was saying earlier, being authentic. I think we take for granted the fact that no one else can offer what you can offer. And in that people can try and imitate or people can try and be you, but there's no product like the product that you can give. But at the same time, it's still being very aware of what the latest trends are, what other people are doing, and it's not to emulate them, but it's to kind of learn and see how you can grow yourself as well. And if you want to add on
But
that.
Claire, you've also got to make sure that you are reinventing yourself the
Yes.
whole time.
100%.
Yeah, am I right?
Like, never believe your own hype. That's, if you surround yourself with yes people who will always tell you you're great all the time, you will never challenge yourself to grow, no matter what industry you're in. You need to keep on thinking, what else, what next? How can I sharpen my skills? How can I get better? And you getting better is good for you, and it's good for your career in the long term. I think that's the thing. As soon as you start believing, you've reached the pinnacle of your success, you become lazy, you become complacent, and that's the thing that will slowly take away from you. As well as, I know a lot of people, when it came to modeling, there were lots of other pretty girls. When it came to presenting, there were better presenters, better on-air people. There will always be somebody better, sharper, wittier, You need to then be on your game all the time. Be professional, be early, be punctual, be a pleasure to work with. All those soft skills that people take for granted, they just assume you have them. But if you are a pleasure to work with, always punctual, always professional, are courteous, all of those things add to the package that is you. So yes, be authentic, but also make sure that you bring your A game, because there are 100 people trying to take your job.
Folks, let me say this. In the television business, it's about being nice to the people that you work with. In my world, the most important person in my world is the teleprompter operator. Believe me, that person gets a Christmas present every year like you won't believe. But it's a metaphor as well. I completely agree with you, Claire. It's about, basically what you're saying is don't be a goddamn prima donna.
Exactly.
Okay. Are you excited? Not just yet. No, I'm kidding. Go.
I was actually saying I'm not that excited anymore, but okay, let me give my question a shot anyway. I think Loyiso kind of touched on it as well as Claire and Thando.
So why are you asking it?
Because it's on the other side.
On the other side.
Okay,
I have no idea what that means, but go. Okay.
Sorry. So in the creative industry, you guys don't really have a lot of structure on the bottom when you're trying to break into the industry, right, into the business. And it's about your creativity, it's about your tenacity, and then you get into the business and there's this corporate structure. On the other side, people who are in corporate, there's a lot of structure and there's very limited space or capacity for a person to be creative. How do you exercise your creativity in a structured, suffocated environment?
And I've been teasing you, but that's a really important question. It is.
Right. Can I
Yes,
get that?
Loyiso, please.
So, this really, this...
It's an important question. Yeah.
That's a very important question. A study came out that I think by 2020, I can't remember exactly where the study was because I didn't think that this question would come up today. So a study actually came out and it said that creatives, in other words, the job of a creative is going to be one of the most important jobs by 2020. And I've seen it this way, which is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I'm not, I'm not doing the schooling because I want to get into the business world, for instance. It's because I know that soon there's going to be great demand for creatives in the business world, as you put it just now. This is why, at the moment, there is so much information available to people that there's going to come a time when businesses cannot be better than other businesses because of what they know, because we're all going to know everything. Do you know what I mean? So now the question is this, right? If Thando, if Thando has I've got 5 marbles, right? And it's different colors. Do you know what I mean? And I've got the same 5 marbles with the same colors. And we've got to do something with those colors. Do you know what I mean? What's going to make Thando better than me or succeed better than me is how she arranges those colors. Do you know what I mean? So that's creativity. So what's going to start to happen in the next few years, and this is my prediction right now, is the fact that how creative you're going to be with the information that you have, and you're going to need creatives for that, is going to determine how successful you're going to be in the future. So trust me, you stay where you are, and I promise you, but let me do it, okay? Let me be bold. I promise you, in the next 5 years, there's going to be a great demand there's going to be a great demand for people like you, not from 1 or 2 companies, but from all companies.
Anybody else want to add to that?
I consider myself a creative, and for many, many years, I worked in middle management, and I was part of management teams, and I found that environment quite restrictive and quite stuffy. Monthly reports, doing, assessments of people, it was very stressful. But I also realized that we are all multifaceted. There is creativity in all of us, as there are other skills that we need to develop. And what I found that the trend is, especially with young people, if you're in your 20s and you're in your 30s, right now, everyone has their day hustle, right? So you're going to work and you're doing what you need to do. And you're doing what you need to do because you have to do that so you can do other things, right? So it's not just enough anymore to have a 9-to-5 gig, which is Monday to Friday, and you're pushing that in your pinstripe suit. Great, keep on doing that. But everyone else has got a second or a third or a fourth thing that they're doing. In the evenings, they're studying. On Saturdays, they have hobbies. On Sundays, they're meeting with a group or a society or something. So unfortunately, you can't express everything all the time. You can't always be 100% you if you're in the corporate environment, because it is what it is right now. But find other outlets for yourself if you find that your work or your day job is stifling to you, because that's what I needed to do. I needed to find ways to express my own creativity in other things. And I think there's enough of you to do all of those things, because you have to do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do.
Takes a bit of courage sometimes to do that, though. Folks, I'm going to take 2 more questions. Then I'm really going to. Mic people, I'm going to leave it to you. Do you want to leave the room, or you? Okay, off you go. Stand up, be bold. Off you go.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Neo, and currently she just almost answered the question, Claire, and I want to redirect it back to you, asking, because you're doing this 9-to-5 and you have this hustle, and at some point you want to make that jump, and you understand that in the entertainment industry, they call it like a field. If you're not a player in there, you're not going to be past that ball, and you can't always sit on the sidelines when it is you want to make the jump. So my question is, when is it reasonable to make that jump from this 9-to-5 for someone like me who has passion, but there's never enough time in the weekends or so forth, but when do you make that jump?
My personal story is that I was working at KFM as part of their content and their programming team for 4 or 5 years. And I wanted to do other things as well. It took me 2 years to actively plan my exit by saving money, doing research, working on my own project diligently, consistently, on every moment that I had time off. So while I was working and I was applying myself at work and meeting all of those criteria, my KPAs and my KPIs and doing all those things, I was also running my workshops because I had started a business and I was pushing that hustle, right? So you don't just up and leave because you're getting tired. You have to be responsible with with the decisions that you're making in your life. So people just hear that Claire resigned. They're just hearing it now. I've been planning it for the past few years, and I told nobody about my plans, right? Because I could change my mind as well. So, yes, you can make the jump. I'm all for you making the jump, but don't be irresponsible with that transition. Plan it, be diligent, have a plan, and stick to that plan.
So if you make the jump and it doesn't work out, don't blame Claire. That's what she's saying.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thanks.
Okay.
And it's very, if you can add on, it's very painful to ignore that calling. I was in advertising. It took me 4 years. So as Claire would say, like at the same time I was performing.
What were you doing previously?
I was an art director. So I studied graphic design, studied comedy when I was graduating, and then immediately I went to an internship program, one of the big agencies in Cape Town. But now comedy was starting to build up, and then you're getting phone calls from the David Cows, from the Kagisos, come play, blacks only, come play. I've played this room a lot of times. So now I'll take unpaid leave and come here, play for 3,000 people in this room, same room, and I'll fly back the next day, Monday, go to work, and I'll sit there and not switch on my computer. I'm like, why am I here? You know what I mean? Like, it was very painful. Like, why am I here? And then traffic comes to you, the ladies who deliver, what do you call them? Brief envelopes. She comes there, Ndumiso, I need this by the end of the day. Another one, Ndumiso, and I'm like, man. Why? From 3,000 people standing up, standing ovations to this. I don't care your weekend, but, so it's very painful. The one thing that pushed me, though, was my creative director. Calls me for appraisals, and he's like, man, we love the work you do here, this and this and that and that. I'm like, cool. And then he's like, I've realized that you take a lot of leave, and it is fine. I mean, you take unpaid leave, and then you take your leave that's allocated to you. But you need to realize that this is a business space. We need you. That's why we hired you. We need you here, And then he said, I'm not saying to you, decide, but I'm kind of saying that. But you need to realize something before you make that decision, that with comedy, there's no guarantee with a check at the end of the month. But here, you're going to build with us, you're gonna grow. You've got that check at the end of the month. And then I said to him, while he was talking and stuff, and I said, have you ever seen me perform? And he kept quiet, right? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, I've been working here 4 years. I'm your creative. I've invited everyone every time I perform at the Baxter Theater, at the whatever. I've never seen you there. So have you ever seen me perform? And he's like, no, I haven't. And then I'm like, then how would you know which strength I can bring to the company with my own creativity or with this other stuff that I'm doing on the side? And he just kept quiet. He just sat there. He's like, hey, man, don't give me the guilt trip now. But, yeah, think about it. The minute I walked out of that office, I knew I was out. Like, I went straight to my computer. I wrote my letter. And the next day, I walked towards him, and he was like, it's not good news. I'm like, well, it's good news for me. But so, yeah, you have to take that leap. It's scary, very scary. But as Claire says, you have to prepare for it. You have to take those steps. Me coming to perform here, going back, perform another place, going back, was preparation. When I get here, at least I know now I'm working with these guys, I'm working with those guys, I'm pushing my dream.
Is this the best audience you've ever had in this room?
Yeah, they're awesome. Oh, yeah. Best in the week.
He basically just touched on what I was going to say. I think it's an element of, in as much as you must be prepared, it's also an element of being fearless. I think a lot of people are stuck in the work that they do, and they prepare and prepare and prepare, but they're preparing forever because they're so afraid of making the jump and making the decision that they wake up 10 years later and they're still stuck where they were. So it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, and I think it's also just preparing yourself mentally that, I'm comfortable, I get my check, it's not going to be the same when I jump, but I've put away such and such. I'm fortunate in that as soon as I jumped out of school, I kind of was doing what I'm doing right now. But I've seen a friend of mine, for example, who's been trying to get into the music industry. He decided to quit his job on a random day, and he sat for like months without a job and broke, and now he's gone back to the same job he was basically doing. So it's being fearless, but still being prepared. So it's just finding that balance.
Folks, we are beyond 5:30. I'm going to ask 5 random questions, just for my own amusement, and then I'm going to let you go. What do you read?
What do I read? What do I read, Jeremy? What am I reading at the moment?
Yeah.
Besides watching ENCA.
Just answer the question.
What do I read?
Okay.
I don't want to lie, Jeremy. I don't know. What am I reading?
Oyama, just make it up. Say the Bible.
What am I? Okay.
Just say Bona Magazine or something.
Twitter. I really love Twitter.
Child
I'm always
of
on Twitter.
social media.
I'm a social media
that's really
guy,
interesting.
so I'm always on Twitter, on social media.
What's your favorite food?
What's your favorite what?
Claire, what's your favorite food?
Anything made by my mother.
Okay. Loyiso, who's your hero?
Who's my hero?
Yeah.
Man, my hero's always been Mandela and Michael Jackson.
Basically, it's
Thando, what sort of car do you drive?
I drive a Range Rover Evoque.
Okay. And Ndumiso, I'm going to ask you a difficult one. How do you stay calm?
Music. Music.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my answer. Music. I listen to music before a show. I listen to music driving. I listen to music, man.
Folks, you have been magnificent.
Thank you.
Thank you.